If you have collected figures from the Mcfarlane Toys DC Multiverse line for as long as I have, then you may have noticed that sometimes we get figures where they don't match up with the source material that they are based on. And I'm not saying that this is a bad thing when that happens. I just wanted to point this out because I find it interesting that there's a pattern of figures that we have seen that have been released in this way. And a good example would be the figure that we're looking at today and the figure that we are looking at next week, because that is a complete 360. So, yeah, I just find this interesting. And also, it's kind of cool that they unintentionally gave us a Captain Atom in his more traditional design that I think many of us who are familiar with this character, especially if we've seen him in Justice League Unlimited or even the Batman Superman Public Enemies animated movie, you've recognized these colors for this character. Now, for his design that they're saying that this figure is being taken from, which is the new 52 version, the data profile card shows a very different artwork where you don't see those colors. And his hairstyle is a lot different. Even his star logo or the nuclear logo, whatever you want to call this, in the middle is a little bit different from what you see on the figure. So, it's interesting. All right, with all that said, let's dive into the usual by taking a quick look at the data profile card and find out who Captain Atom is as a character. And as you can see, there is this beautiful comic book artwork of what the character looks like. Pretty cool. And his real name is Nathaniel Atom, and it reads, grounded USAF pilot Nathaniel Atom found work at the Continuum, a research facility run by quantum physicist Dr. Magala. Magala wanted Nate to pilot an experimental capsule designed to travel to other dimensions. When activated, the capsule imploded, destroying Nate at a subatomic level. Nate soon reappeared and discovered he had become a living nuclear reactor, with the ability to manipulate the quantum field. General Wade Elling insisted Nate was now a military asset and a living weapon of mass destruction. Nate refused to cooperate and instead chose to serve the world as Captain Atom. Now, this is a very interesting read-up on who this character is, and also sounds familiar to another character that is from a different comic, published by DC, a certain Dr. Manhattan. Okay, in terms of the accessories that he comes with, they are just mainly effect parts. I don't really know how his powers work, per se. I've seen him fight before, but, it's just very minimal with how much action he actually does in a lot of these animated projects that he's appeared in. So one of the effect parts, as you can see right here, this is meant to go on his fist hand. So I'm assuming this is supposed to be like nuclear energy of some kind that he's generating. And they use this clear design where it's translucent, which maybe should have been a different color. I'm not too sure. And then for this side, it is for his left arm. And yeah, I don't exactly know how this works in terms of effects. Like, I don't really understand how his powers work, but it's pretty cool that he comes with these. Now, unfortunately, he doesn't come with much because these are the only two accessories in this box, because I never count the DC figure stand and, of course, the data profile card. Those are not accessories. Those are always given with these figures. So, in this case, it would have been cool if we got more of these. Two of them is not a whole lot in this box. So, yeah, accessory department, quite lacking. Now, let's talk about the figure. And as you can see, the design of this figure is very simplistic. It is pretty much just all silver colored paint and a few reds and, of course, some blues down here, which, I don't really blame them because that's how this character looks like in the comics. So you can't really do much with the overall design of how he looks. Now, in terms of his body buck, I personally think this body buck doesn't really work for this figure. And the reason why is because this character has a very thick, muscular build in most depictions. Like, even, for example, this new 52 version, as you can see, right? So, the closest body buck that I think would have been a good, reuse of for Captain Atom should have been the one from Black Lightning. Now, of course, that means that they have to retool certain parts, like getting rid of these lines, getting rid of this belt area right down here. But it works for this type of character that's supposed to look thicker in build, especially because his muscles are supposed to be more musculature, or whatever, the term should be, right? So in this case, I think the reused body buck for this one is really lazy. It just doesn't feel like the right one for this figure, even though, yes, all the muscular details are there, but I'm not really feeling it with this body buck for this character. So, alright, with that said, let's talk about some of the details that are on here. Let's start with the head sculpt, because I think the head sculpt came out really nicely. I like the way that the hair is sculpted. It's all painted in silver, which is pretty cool. His eyes have like this sort of like bolded black line, which is also really cool because it looks like, something that you would see in a comic book design, which of course this figure is a comic book design character. And of course, the sort of jawline that he has going on down here, just the, expression on his face, like he is not somebody to be messing with. And also, a fun fact, this character is an example of danger, because if he got injured in any way, he would literally be a ticking time bomb. And they have shown this before in some depictions in the comics where this character's died. And when that happens, he'll blow up like a nuclear bomb. So this is quite ironic for a superhero to be powered by nuclear power. Yeah. So, okay. And of course on the back, you can see more of the hairline and the sculpted details. And that's pretty much it for the face sculpt. So not a bad face sculpt. As for his emblem here, it is of course just printed on. It's not a sculpted part, which, it's not a bad thing, but I don't know how else they would have done it for, his body here. So, and as you can see, there is a little bit of marbling with the way that they've done the silver paint on here, which isn't great. It kind of makes it look like it's not done well, but that is pretty much the problem whenever you use a certain sort of paint color, where when you're not doing it right, well, this is what it turns out to be. And as you can see a little bit of that marbling even down here. So yeah, there are some rough spots on this figure in terms of the paint, but overall, not too bad. And as you can see, the red gloves are also printed on. On the back, it's pretty much just all silver with a lot of marbling. And then you got the blue boots down here that are also just flat blue. So yeah, really, there's nothing else to talk about when it comes to aesthetics. But again, it's not their fault. This is how the character looks like in his design. What can you really do in this case, right? Okay, let's talk about the articulation of this figure. Even though we've seen how this particular body buck articulates, well, let's show it again. So he can look up. Not completely the best, but if you want to get him into a flight pose, he definitely can do that. So there's that. In terms of looking down, not the greatest, because, sometimes the way they sculpt the neck joints, they just don't do it right. So in this case, looking down isn't going to be the best. Now, if you get him leaning forward a little bit, then yeah, he can definitely look down. So you might have to do that. As for his arms, they can go out into a T-pose, right? If you want to, you can swing them back and forth. He does have the double jointed articulation, and he also has the swivel up here by the bicep, and he also has rotation in the wrist joint there. And of course, he has swivel in the hands over here, but because sometimes, these are tight on the joint, they don't rotate. As you can see, there is a swivel right there as well. So there's that. And of course, for his upper torso, there is a good range of movement on this figure, which I really like when they can articulate in that way. So that's pretty cool. He can lean forward a little bit, not the best sort of like leaning forward. He can lean back, which is not too bad either. It's okay. So there's that. He also can rotate down here at the waist. He can also lean forward a little bit. He can also lean back a little bit. But as you can see, the articulation for that is very limiting. As for his legs, does he have the upper thigh swivels? Yes, he does. For this particular leg on my copy, he can swivel on the upper thigh. As for this one, it doesn't really move. So in this case, the solution here is maybe use a hairdryer or something, or if you know how to take these figures apart, because I've heard that they're very easy to take apart and reassemble, you could probably fix this sort of issue to get those to move. In terms of doing a sort of split, not exactly the best, but still a good range of movement right there when it comes to spreading out his legs. In terms of kicking, it's okay. It's not the best. It's not a full kick. So there's that. He does have double jointed in the legs. And of course, he has articulation in the feet. And there is a swivel down here by the upper part of the joint, and of course the bottom part of the joint as well. But usually if it's way too tight, then that's not going to move. So hairdryer, use it if you need to loosen some joints. And of course, toe articulation. And that is basically all the articulation on this figure. And now let's show what those accessories look like on the figure. And I'm going to try my best to show this because it's been a while since I've put these on him. So with this one, you mainly want to kind of like match it up with the arm, I think, is how I would put this in. Let me try this. It does not want to go in. Okay, I don't think I can really show this on camera. So that's not good. Oh, did I get it in? I think I got it in. Well, I didn't do it the right way. Okay, I didn't exactly do it the right way. But as you can see, the fist is supposed to be angled upward. Not like this, but you can kind of get a clear sense of what it's supposed to look like in his arm, right? Like he's supposed to have like energy generating for his right arm. As for his left arm, it's kind of similar. You just have to just put this in. I'm going to try again. Let me see. Is it there? Okay, I think it's supposed to be like this, right? Oh, kinda. Okay, well, yeah, similar to the right arm. So, I'm not showing it in the best way, but you kind of get a clear picture of what it's supposed to look like in his arm. Because they're kind of flimsy for accessories too, so they will fall off. Oh, here we go. There you go. I got this one on correctly. So it's supposed to look like that. Yeah, it's not exactly the best. So I don't exactly know how these effects are supposed to work, but hey, they're still pretty cool. So, all right. Now it's time to do some comparisons because, we got to show them next to a few other characters, and I got to see if I can get them to stand. All right, so let's do that. So here he is next to Black Lightning. Oh, he looks like he's going to fall. And Black Lightning is exactly taller than him a little bit. In my last video, when I had these two side by side, yeah, this particular body buck that they use for Black Lightning makes him taller. So there you can see both of these characters together. Here he is next to Red Tornado, which is also a comic book design character. And I think these two look good next to each other, so there's that. Here he is next to a JSA member, Our Man, a more recent figure that just came out not that long ago. So, and of course, here he is next to the Silver Age Superman figure. And if you remember, I think there was an episode where Superman had to save Captain Atom from something. I don't exactly know if it was in the Justice League Unlimited or was it something else that I'm remembering. But these two characters have definitely interacted. So there's that. And last but not least, well, I'm not going to actually bring them in. I'm actually going to just give a hint. Here's a hint of what we're looking at next week. You see those colors? Yeah, there you go. All right, with all that said, that is going to be the review for today. If you enjoyed this look at Captain Atom, do give this video a like. If you want to subscribe to the channel for more action figure content and whatever else I do on here, you can. You don't have to. In the end of the day, I make these videos for fun. And with that said, take care, and I will see you in the next video.